All right, what is going on YouTube? White Wolf Palace versus Suomi over here. It is Empire Wars Duel 2 quarterfinals. The loser is out Max and Vilas versus Yo, Lix, and Vivi. So far, Lix hasn't played. And for today, I will have Alice, the best British player currently, co-casting me. So let's have a little chat with him about the draft, and then we can get going with the first game. Hello.
Hello.
All right, how you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm all right. It's a little bit early in the morning here, but it is what it is. So, did you have the chance to look at the draft over here?
Yeah, I've been looking at it for a couple of minutes now. And it's definitely interesting. Um,
Yeah, so one of the things that I have spotted right now is that Hidden Treasures was not a map that people love to play throughout the tournament, and this is the first time that White Wolf Plus actually chooses that map. It was only GL who has chosen it so far. Now White Wolf Plus goes for that as one of their home maps.
yeah, and if I remember correctly, wasn't that played on two-player map size also?
Um,
So not the best game to look at for
yeah, I,
if you're trying to think of strats and whatnot.
There was a
Um,
4 map size as well. There was Bars and Valas versus GLA. That's the
oh,
only
there
time
was.
where we
Yeah.
saw pause. So
Oh
that's also
yeah.
unique. And it
Yeah.
looks like Bohemians became a very, very popular pick by the end of this tournament. We're frequently seeing those in drafts nowadays.
Yeah, this draft is very tricky. I think it's just because of the maps as well. They're quite specific. Like Hidden Treasures, for example, is not a map you're gonna see the usual like Knight Archer meta. And I think that kind of reflects on the draft a little bit because we have civs like Burgundian, Spanish, like Portuguese, like really early picks for Yo's team. And on the other side, I guess Max has a more meta draft, like having Britons, Vietnamese, Franks, Mayans as the first 4 picks. But then we still see civs like Biz, Mongols, Tatars. I would say if I was looking at the draft, I would say like kind of Max's draft is a lot more meta, whereas the Chinese team's draft is a little bit out there. But it's gonna be really interesting to see how they kind of use these civs on specific maps.
Alright, I'm in the first recorded game, so whenever you're ready, we can
Okay.
get
Yeah,
going.
I'll load in. Yeah, yeah.
I am at 3 seconds and pause, so let me know when you're ready.
Yep, yeah, yep.
Alright, everything's
Sorry,
set?
game's taking a while to load.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We have our time to take. It's the suspense before the
Yep.
action.
Yep. No, I'm ready. Just count me down and
All
we
right,
can.
let's do 3, 2, 1, and go. So welcome everybody to Empire Wars Duel 2 quarterfinals. With me is Hellis, who also happened to play in this tournament. We will have Mr.Yo and Vivi as Bulgarians and Vikings on the left side in cold colors. And warm colors is Max with Khmer in yellow and Vilas as Mayans in red. How do you feel about the Khmer choice in Arabia? This is something that we have seen very frequently by the end of the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's kind of more typical of Empire Wars because I think games are kind of less likely to go to like late imp, where you're obviously going to miss out on having Paladin. And if we see on the other side as well, Yo has Bulgarians. So like I feel like Paladin civs, it's not that they're not meta, it's just that they're not as good as they are on RM because you can kind of guarantee a longer game on RM. Um, And yeah, I think Khmer are good. They have good economy, right? And I think it's kind of also the product of Franks being banned. So I think Franks probably would have been the choice if they weren't banned.
Yeah,
Um,
I personally probably prefer Bulgarians here because you get that nice extra early advantage with the forging that's already coming in for Yo. But you also have stir-ups for late game, so your Cavalier is a little bit better than the opponent's Cavalier.
yeah, I would agree. I think it's quite even because Khmer do have a really good eco. But yeah, I guess having that stirrups power spike and having the upgrades being cheaper is really nice, especially if you're trying to look for advantages early on. Um, And yeah, so Villas is actually moving straight out to Yo's base, which is really smart because I think one thing that I really like seeing is kind of targeting the scout player when you're the archer player because it's really hard if you have an archer and a couple of spearmen to actually deal with it. Um,
And there's also an Eagle that makes it even better because that Eagle is very, very useful to get through walls. if the opponent is walled, or just double team Mr.Yo here with some scouts and archers.
Yeah, and it's looking. I don't see any counterplay from the other team. This is just really dangerous. It's just gonna mess Yo's economy up. But oh, the perfect wall there for Yo, saving a lot of villagers.
Yeah, Mr.Yo was trying to get some raids in, but it's very hard to raid Khmer here because you can just jump into your houses, and Max was able to keep his villagers alive that way.
Yeah, that's an excellent point actually, and this kind of opening is why Empire Wars is just so chaotic and so hard to play as a player because like you have essentially 1 minute to like look at your map and try and defend yourself, right? And already you're having units being sent forward to your base. Yeah, it seems like Vivi should come and help clean us up,
Yeah, he
or
does.
at least defend Yo. So I think we're kind of stabilized a little bit. Strange to see Yo have about 8 villages on stone. I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, that's a little awkward, especially because maybe he wants to go Conics. That's just a wild thought here, but it's very awkward indeed that he just sent 8 to stone. Maybe it was just, he ran away from the gold and he wanted to use those villagers to something, but no mining camp on that stone, yet he's mining it with 8. Okay, looks like it was just temporary.
Yep, it seems like he was just finding something for those villagers to do. Still a little bit strange, but nothing completely untoward. One thing I do like is the way that Suomi have already fully walled, or almost fully walled. I think Max still has a little bit left to go, but Veles has already got a nice little ring base. Whereas Yo obviously is still quite open, which is probably why he's being targeted a little bit.
Yeah, fine. Max actually finds that hole at the right side. I was scared for a moment that he won't find it, and he would just leave a gap with
That would be
his...
terrible. Yep.
Yeah, we have seen that happening a lot of times. Vivi is the only player that went for defensive tower, but with Vikings it's probably not the end of the world. Especially because his stones aren't great, so he might need to buy a stone if he wants to go for multiple TCs.
Yeah, that's one thing in Empire Wars which I have noticed is that defensive tower is a lot more common, just because, like I said, the aggression comes at you immediately, and obviously that gold is you probably could try and defend it if it was RM, where you have more time to kind of choose where you place your buildings, but with essentially no time to even think about anything, I think it's kind of just the safest play to go for the tower.
Poor Mr.Yo losing control over his berries once again, as he's going up to castle. He's going to be fine for now. So will Max build, though Max might have a hole here by the berries. So I'm not 100% sure that Max is fully walled, but it looks like Yo and V won't commit.
I think that is closed off. I think the berries do meet with the mill, so I think he would have been fine. Yeah, I think it's been. I definitely prefer how Veles and Max have started the game, but they haven't really got any damage or any real damage. I don't know if they've even killed a villager. I just think they've had a little bit more control, especially I think they've been a little bit quicker with their armies and a little bit more direct. But yeah, what flank civ do you prefer, leader? Do you prefer Mayans or do you prefer Vikings here?
Oh, that's rough. I kind of feel like I prefer Mayans. Because the thing is that Vikings have a great economy, but Mayans are so efficient, and we can often see Mayans having just as good of an imp time as Vikings do. But once Vikings reach Imperial Age, they pretty much have no bonus over others. Whereas for Mayans, their bonus lasts forever. They can go Plumed Archers later on. They also have Siege Rams, so I feel like Mayans is actually a better version of Vikings in many ways.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I think the only thing that you really have going for you with Vikings is if you can use that eco to get a really nice imp time, which is one thing that mines can't do quite as well. But obviously, just having the cheaper crossbows is gonna just make your trades much better. Although that being said, though, Veles has managed to get a really nice castle each time before Vivi, despite obviously Vivi having handcraft for free, but wheelbarrow for free, sorry. I guess they're just waiting for crossbow. And Veles has done a really good job with those crossbow numbers. That's a really scary army. And Vivi, by the looks, he is down about 6 units.
Yeah, he's only 2 ranges. Veles is playing 3. So they're going pretty aggressive. Yo is also going very aggressive here. Triple stables for him. But he can still squeeze out a town center. He sold some stone, I believe. Because he's down to 28 and he only bet 1 TC. So it's very likely he sold some of his stone. That's why he can afford the 3rd stable pretty easily.
Yeah, I think I don't think you can afford to produce out of 3 stables. If I'm on his, yeah, so he's only producing out of 2 right now. I honestly think the third stable was a bit ambitious, especially if you are going to build the TC. Just because you can't do both. Like he can't even afford to build out 2 stables right now, and he's not building out any of his town centers. I guess it's just kind of there in case things go really wrong for um, the Chinese team.
Yeah, fast Thumbbrain coming in here for Vilas, and Max and Vilas will go very aggressive here. Triple stables for Max, and with Khmer farming, he can actually make them work. And as you said, better numbers for Vilas by far, and he's going to have Thumbbrain as well in a moment.
Yeah, so one thing to note as well, Max is staying on one town center, which is probably allowing him to produce from 3 stables, whereas Yo, like we said earlier, built that TC. That could have been just for defense as well, because obviously that TC is in a great location. It's on the wood and the gold. But at the same time, if you do want to go 3 stables, two TCs isn't really that viable until you start getting the farm count pretty high.
Yeah, they managed to break into Yo's base here, but they're probably hesitant to commit to this one. Because, well, you could easily get your army trapped, though a couple of knights run in, and this is going to be annoying for Yo to deal with. There is a wood line that's wide open for raiding.
That's a really nice raid from Max, and I think that's a pretty classic Max play, just being able to be aware of everything that's going on and just be really annoying with his knights. This is a huge engagement here on the front. Vivi's crossbows on the hill. I think Vilas is trading better. He's getting a lot of nice kills on the knights.
Yeah, that's beautiful micro. And while that is happening, Yo is losing his villagers. This is why this fight is so good for them. Yo has to just keep microing those knights. We have seen that in 2v2s, you just have to jump around with those knights. But that means that you have a harder time quick walling or just looking at your villagers. Yo lost quite a lot of farmers at the end.
Yeah, I think that's just fantastic play from Max, honestly. Like, it's so hard, as you said, if you are the kind of the cav player, to be able to focus in lots of places at once. And Max is just kind of using that. He obviously doesn't have to micro those knights that much. All they have to do is sit and kill villagers, and it's super awkward. And I think both teams seem like they're trading pretty evenly here. I think Vilas going to run away now.
Vilas eventually will lose his army, but he has to be happy with the fight he's taking, especially because he's about to break into Vivi's base, who is going into Imp though. Oh, this is risky for Vivi, because he doesn't have a huge amount of crossbows. That's what I wanted to say.
He doesn't. And this is a great raid from Vilas, but if Vivi can survive to keep that crossbow mass at least relatively high, I think if you look at his economy, he's got 9 on food right now, and 40 food in the bank. So I mean, it'll be doubtful whether or not he can actually even afford any upgrades when he does get to Imp.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking about as well, that he's got 2 TCs rolling, he needs to increase those crossbow numbers as well, so he will just keep pumping out crossbows, but it's somewhat doubtful that he can actually afford the upgrades, especially if he's taking uphill fights like that.
Yeah, I think that's still a good fight. He just has overwhelming numbers, but obviously you're kind of trading before Imp, so that's just lowering that ARB ball. But the thing is, Vilas is very far away from Imp himself, though. I mean, he's only got 200 food. He's got about 15 archers queued, or crossbows queued, sorry. So maybe if he cancels those, he'd be a little bit closer. Oh, I really do not like that fight. I think everything will be on Vivi this game, because Yo has just taken so much damage. If you look at his score, 55 villagers, like, economy is not really that great. I mean, Max is still... It's interesting that this is kind of the meta now. Like, Max is just staying 1 TC. Oh, alright, no, he's built 2nd. He's built 3rd now, sorry. He's on 3 TCs booming. So yeah, Max is definitely in a better position than Yo. And I think everything will be on this imp timing from Vivi. Do you think that imp timing will be enough to get a big advantage?
I think so, because the 2 players are pretty close to each other. That's what really stands out here, as Bracer is coming in, but as we discussed, he won't be able to afford Arbalest. Chemistry will probably be delayed, so it's not like his power spike will be that imminent.
Yeah, I think what's really important now is seeing how Vilas responds to this. Yeah, so Vilas is close to clicking. I think if they can just hold off for long enough and not take crippling damage, I think Suomi are in a great position in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Looking at the eco, 74 for Max and only 61 for Mr.Yo.
Yep, and yeah, Yo has just has struggled a lot this game. I think it's partly because of the pressure he was put under by Max and Veles earlier on in the game. I think Max's economy as well is looking much better. 3 stables producing pretty cleanly, like 13, 14 more villagers than Yo. Yeah, everything will be down on to this big arbor from Vivi in the north. Thing is, it doesn't seem like. Is there any way he can really get, game-winning damage?
It's hard to say because I like what Viles is doing. Right now there's no siege for White Wolf Palace, so guard tower defense could actually slow this one down nicely. Obviously a defensive castle would be better, but he doesn't have the stone for that. They need to sacrifice a couple of villagers to get those houses up to slow this down.
Yeah, exactly, and that's essentially all they need to do, right? All they need to do is buy enough time for Veles to get Imperial Age, and he's what, 60%? He's very close. So as long as Veles doesn't take crippling damage and lose his entire army, I think they're feeling pretty confident. There's also another really big fight in front of Yo's base, which it looks like Max is completely dominating. So this game really is, for the Chinese team, is completely on this army in the north.
Yeah, Yo's army is all the way on the right side. So technically, I could see Max just sending his knights into Vivi's base, because Vivi has no defense back at home, no mobility. 29 knights running into his eco could easily destroy it, and even if Vilas takes some damage, that is massive. If you can just delete 20 villas from Vivi here.
Yeah, and especially being a Viking player, Vivi went 2 TCs, right? So if you're killing 10, 15 villagers, that's like, if you only have 60, 70 villagers, that's a lot of percent economy that you're actually destroying. Then it is a little bit risky in case Vivi has a lot of arbs kind of at home, just as a rally point. But yeah, okay. So now with Veles getting these upgrades, I feel like that army is just doomed.
Yeah, that feels like a dead army, especially because Imp is coming in here for Max. I don't think that they want to wait 3 more minutes until they get Imp and the upgrades. But at this point, I kind of feel like you and Vivi know that that army is gone.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they try and hold from this point, because it feels like it definitely feels like they managed to regain some momentum with that really early M time. But whether or not they can hold it after the army gets cleared is another question.
Yeah, there is the +4 defense still for Vivi, but at this point it really seems like it's just a distraction. But the longer the game goes, the better it is, honestly, at this point for Vilas and Max, because they'll have Imp for the Cavalry Repair much faster.
Yep, that is the main thing. With Yo being so far behind, it'll be really tricky for them to really deal with Cavalier with +4 and that huge Arbalest mass from mines.
Not necessarily a fan of this fight yet for Max though, because he's still fighting orbs. Looks like it's going to be enough to clean this one up though, and that's a beautiful cleanup in that case.
Yep, a little bit impatient, but I think with that many knights, you're always going to clear up the orbs. Maybe could have waited a little bit longer, but I think what they want to do right now is they just want to clean the army as quickly as possible and get on the front foot again. Because when you're playing in these games, as soon as you start chasing armies, it always feels like you're slowly kind of reacting rather than causing reactions yourself. And that can lead to taking a lot of damage. Like, for example, this big army at the front of Max's base is obviously being a real nuisance.
Yeah, beautiful revos for Max. They're pushing very deep into his base. That's why Vivi and Yo wanted to distract the Suomi players here. And now Knights are inside Max's base, but Max will be back at home. He's gonna have +4 defense. I don't think he will take a big enough damage here to compensate for at least Yo's not being in him.
Yeah, it definitely was close. If they hit this timing a little bit sooner, this could have done like crippling damage. Because if you look at all those farms, obviously they can't garrison anywhere. Like, if you build the farms at the back, they are nice and safe, but like, if knights get in, they've got nowhere to run, essentially. But it does seem like those arbs are going to clear up those knights in max space, and they're taking a great fight with elephants against Vivi's arbs on the right. So it definitely seems like Suomi are doing a great job at regaining the army lead and the momentum here.
Max lost a lot of villagers here, but I think that they might be even happy to say, okay, we're gonna trade 20 villas to 20 knights here, because that means that Yo's army is gonna be gone, and suddenly we'll be looking into 30-something Cavalier. And now that they are in Imp, they can actually sling. Max has 5 TCs, so rebooming shouldn't be a problem for him.
Yep, and as soon as we get... Do we have +4 defense?
Yeah, we
do have +4 defense, and yeah, like with that in, it's just gonna make these fights so much better. Obviously, Yo cannot get +4 defense, not being in the Imperial Age. And I think if they take this big hill in front of Yo's base, that could spell some real trouble for Yo.
Beautifully built up trap, by the way, by Max. He just finished off the remaining knights using those stone walls. And now it's 97 orbs for Villas.
Yep, that is the power of mines, isn't it? They are just absolutely incredible. Having those archers cheaper just makes a real difference. I think that's also credit to Velas as well, who's kept, if you look at his base, he's got 8 archery ranges right now. um, he's just been able to keep incredible production, and obviously you don't need that many villagers, as a mine flank creating ARPs.
Now, he's gonna get pushed by soon-to-be siege rams here, and it looks like Vivi's stacking into elite skirms. But at this point, I think Suomi still has to be happy about that. They can steamroll Yo's base, and then Max can actually finish off Vivi here, especially if Vivi's going heavy on skirms. So, even if Vilas loses a lot, I don't think there is that much of a chance for White Wolf Plus right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think Skirms is kind of a questionable one. I mean, I think maybe Vivi's running out of gold or something along those lines. But like all Max needs to do is come with 20 Cavalier and maybe even Light Cav against Skirm, and you're gonna be able to deal some serious damage, especially when Velas has like 90 orbs behind your army.
Yeah, that's a brutal count. Some elephants are in the party as well for Max over here. He hasn't gotten the Cavalier upgrade just yet, so he's probably focusing on rebooming right now.
Yeah, interestingly enough, though, Max is not. He's still building elephants. I wonder if Max is going to go for Elite Battle Elephant.
I mean, I can see that working because the distance between the players is pretty close. And it's not like there's a lot of cavalry right now from Yo, so you don't really need a huge amount of mobility.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. I'm not sure. I just think just going full Cavalier would close out the game just as well. But maybe he wants to go to the best possible army straight away.
I think it was Hera who used a lot of elephants in tuples, and the last time I saw 2v2 settings, Vivi's orb numbers on the left side are going to disappear, and there is the elite battle elephant, so he will play full elephants here now.
Yep, and that is just super difficult to deal with, I guess. I guess maybe like, what can Viking really do against that, and what can Bulgarian really do, especially if they're still in castle age? Like, I guess all Max is trying to do here is just get enough elephants to just steamroll the buildings.
Yeah.
And yeah, huge fight in Yo's base, and that's going in favor of Velas and Max. I think I am relatively impressed that Vivi is still managing to push deep into Velas's base. I think that's the one drawback of going for Elite Battle Elephants, right? Is that you can't really support your teammate despite, Vivi making a lot of skirmishes. But at the same time, I think Yo is just so far out of the game that it doesn't really matter if Velas is being pushed.
Yo is still Castle Age. And yeah, there is elite skirms for our blue player, but there's already a siege ram push being assembled by Vilas, so he's just waiting for the timing. It looks scared that he's losing half of his base, but his eco is still more or less intact. Trade is going to be more and more important now, and behind this one, Yo is getting steamrolled.
Yep, that's exactly it, isn't it? If Yo was in a better position, this would be more difficult for the Finns, but because Yo is so out of the game, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. And all Max really needs to do is get a big enough army of elephants, and then those skirmishes are going to be completely useless.
Oh man, Yo is actually making monks to convert the elephants.
I think that's just about his only option, really. I mean, I'm kind of struggling to see the win condition for White Wolf Palace here. I think this does seem quite close to being over. I know that obviously, Vivi's doing a nice push, but just having Yo so far out of the game for such a long time, I struggle to see where he's going to get the economy to make a difference.
Yeah, especially because I think if Max just goes back to Cavalier, he can steamroll Vivi. In fact, he's going for elephants on the right side, as Yo acknowledges that there's probably no way back. He's very far from Imp still. His farming eco is gone. And Vivi actually got a castle up in the middle right next to the one of Vilas. So that's a bit of a doubt castle there from Vilas here.
But, yeah, I see that. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. In the moment Vivi makes skirms, even a couple of elephants plus siege rams are more than enough to clean this one up. And Max didn't even have iron casting or tusk swords, so his elephants were actually pretty underwhelming for Khmer standards.
Yep. I think he was still building up to that, kind of unstoppable. Actually, he had the eco for it, so I'm not sure why he didn't have the upgrades, but I think he was just building up to those elephant numbers.
So it is Suomi taking game number one. The same Suomi that lost to My Insanity in the first round of the group stage, and they had to play the losers game in the group stage. That went on to win that, went on to win the deciders, and now they're here in the quarterfinals, leading versus White Wolf Palace.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I think they did struggle in that first set against My Insanity, didn't they? But from that point onwards, they only beat Yabati 3-2 as well. But 3-0ing My Insanity in the kind of decider game is very impressive.
Yeah, and
Um, yeah.
we had to add that White Wolf Palace also almost lost to Rulers of Rome. So both of these teams struggled early on in this tournament against teams that were allegedly weaker than them.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But WWP did manage to go through past Game Legion B, which is definitely an impressive result. Although 2-3-2 sets, so this could be an interesting one, right? Um,
Exactly. This is going to be a pretty close one. So let's take a look at the home maps real quick of White Wolf Palace because that's where we are going. So they can either go for Hidden Treasures or Cape of Storms. Do you feel that they should go for a more open map here or a more closed one?
I think they have great civs for Cape of Storms because they have Huns and Cumans. It feels like their draft kind of prioritized Cape of Storms, so I would be surprised if they pick anything else. But obviously, maybe they want to get hidden treasures out first. So obviously, it depends on how confident they are in each map.
Well, it looks like it's going to be Cape of Storms. I'm ready when you are, so.
Yep, I will load in and get to 3 seconds in.
Okay, great. So it will be a Cape of Storms game. As you said, Hans is probably the best pocket civilization for this one, and that's something that's available for White Wolf Palace. Kuman's a pretty decent flank here. Other than that, maybe Japanese is something that people, or Portuguese is the alternative probably for White Wolf Palace as the flank civ. Whereas on the other side, you kind of have Berbers, but Berbers only start to be good in Castle Age. I would love to see Saracens. We have seen a crazy build. I'm not even sure. I think it may have been Suomi, but I'm not 100% sure. No, it wasn't Suomi. It was Bad Boy and Song Song who made the instant double stable scout Saracen market usage. That was a great build. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm 3 seconds in. Let me know when you're
All right.
ready.
Let's do 3, 2, 1, and go. Welcome to Cape of Storms over here in the second game in this best of 5. And we do have the Saracens here, but not as a pocket, as a flank for Villas. That's a massive surprise to me. Market usage is still going to be a factor, but this is the first time we're seeing a Saracen flank here. I believe Villas in red. Max is playing yellow, Mongols pocket. There's a lot of hunt on this map, passive hunt on the left side, and there is also an elephant that you can take, so Mongols get a very nice boost to their food eco early. Kumans for Vivi in blue, and Yo is playing Hans in green.
Yeah. What do you think about the civs, leader? Uh, um,
Oh, it's
who do
hard
you
to
think has the
say.
best? Yeah.
I kind of feel like I like Huns a lot more than Mongols. Mongols are nice early feudal here to just keep pace with Huns, but I still think that overall Huns is a way better pocket civ here. Cumans versus Saracens is an interesting debate. I think it depends on how long the game goes. Considering that usually the games are pretty fast, I think Cumans are fine here. But it depends on how much the Saracens can use the market, how much they can get a castle age advantage, and try to snowball the game in early castle.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I think it's going to be super interesting to see how this game plays out because from a lot of the games that I've watched, at least, it's very hard to wall in Feudal Age. Obviously, you can kind of wall to the edge, but it's almost impossible to wall that middle bit. There's just so many like awkward holes in the trees. Um, but yeah, it's super interesting. I definitely think Yo and Vivi have the better civs. I think these are just the meta picks. I think just because it is all in Feudal Age. I know that Game Legion, I really love Cumans on the flank. They're one of the teams that have kind of developed the strategy. And you can, so if we look, Max is already getting +1 already getting foraging, which is super interesting. I do like the idea of going for Mongols as kind of like an out there pick to try and like counter the opponents, because you can even take your flanks hunt if you really want, and which Max is actually doing, by the way, which is really really nice to see. So you can get a huge food boost.
Oh, look at this. Max not only is taking his own hunt, he's taking his teammates' hunt as well. That's what
Yep,
they
yep,
want here.
yep.
As scarebudding is about to come in for Yo, but we already have that for Max, so this is a great fight for Suomi here.
Yeah, Max's scouts are already fully upgraded, and that is just the power of Mongols, isn't it? I mean, he's already on what, 2 stables, already both blacksmith upgrades, and now this could snowball, you know? Um,
Yeah, this could easily snowball, and now that you have 2 stables, you can squeeze in bloodlines much more easily. Wouldn't be surprised to see that one. And all those archers going down from Vivi is brutal, especially if you consider that Vivi is on 3 ranges, and Vilas was on 2 for a long time. He just finished the 3rd one.
Yeah, and Vilas is pretty close to you in castlage, you know, that's the danger, right? If you look at Vivi's resources, he's nowhere near. Like, he's got 300 wood and 100 food, whereas Vilas is very close to clicking, and that is just the power of Saracens, honestly.
Yeah, this
Um,
is brutal. I kind of feel like after their first round loss, Suomi stepped up their game like crazy. Because now they're playing crystal clean, and as I said, there's bloodlines already. Yo is just now grabbing +1 attack on his scouts, so once again his scouts will be weaker. Archer numbers slightly better for Vilas, and as we discussed, he's about to click up to Castle Age, which could give him a very nice power spike with crossbowmen.
yeah, honestly, I love the way the Finnish team have played this. Honestly, this has been close to perfect. I mean, these Civ picks, like, I mean, they've made them look really good. I don't know. Maybe a couple teams will look at this game and be like, maybe we can figure something out here, because having this much hunt as Mongols, I mean, it just having those upgrades so quickly. Whereas obviously Yo was a little bit slower because obviously you don't get the food as quickly. Really able like enable them to snowball the game, and as long as you just keep Saracens in the game, you don't lose really quickly early, then they're just always gonna get to cast stage faster, right? Um,
Yeah, that extra food eco from the hunt, he's also able to add the fishing eco, so it's very easy for him to keep consistent scout production from 3 stables, get the upgrades, and you see that Yo now has fully upgraded scouts as well. This is a bit of a risky move here from Suomi, though. They could easily get surrounded before the Castle Age upgrades would come in for those archers.
yeah, I think it's so difficult to take a good fight if you're WWP, because obviously it's just the way that the Finns are using their army. It's just that they're always right next to each other. It's so hard to take back the control again. And look at this perfect micro from Velas. The trades are just so much better. When you're chasing an army like this, it's so hard to take an efficient trade. And honestly, I think this could be game over.
Yeah, Castle Age is about to be in here for Vilas, but
Yep,
he should be able to retreat. They just pick up the cavalry, and there's already more cav coming to intercept the reinforcements of Vivi. 11 scouts versus 3. The archer numbers are the same, but those will be crossbows in a moment.
yeah, that's the difficulty, right? You can't, because they traded the scouts off. Like, there's no way to deal with those archers before they get crossbowmen. And when they get crossbowmen, I mean, they're gonna, run riot in Yo's economy.
And those are Saracen crossbows, so they can take down
Exactly.
buildings even. It's not like you can just wall them out. As
Yep.
another group of crossbows coming in here from Vilas to push the base of Vivi. Scouts already just rampaging the wood eco of Yo. Som is playing this one very, very clean.
Yeah, this is such a nice game from Suomi. This is such a nice strategy choice and civ choice as well. I feel like they must have practiced this, and it just feels like they executed this almost perfectly. They hit the timing that they wanted, which is the kind of the quick hunt. Make sure you kind of keep Saracens alive and gets card stage more quickly. They even were pushing in feudal age, which is very impressive against Cumans, obviously having 3 ranges immediately. And now it just seems like those crossbows from Velas are going to do too much damage.
Yeah, that's gonna be very rough to handle. Vivi is now on 4 ranges, but he doesn't have safe wood income, so it's not like he can actually just mass produce archers, and once again, Suomi will be just 1 step ahead. Now it's ballistics on the way for Vilas. By the time Vivi gets that, there's probably going to be Thumbring for him, so I just don't see this one for for White Wolf Palace here, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. And honestly, this is going to be a crushing blow for White Wolf Palace, because if you look at their draft, I think both Huns were third picked, and I think humans were fourth or fifth picked. So these were civs that they were confident in. These were civs that they expected to win with, you know, especially if you first pick this as your home map. So for the Finns to be this dominant on this map must be pretty difficult to deal with mentally.
Yeah, Vivi was off from gold for a long time, so he couldn't afford Botkin Arrow either. And as we discussed, there's already Ballistics in here for Vilas. Look at the eco of Max behind this one. He's still feudal age, but, well, even with the hunt running out, he was able to build up a very strong farming eco behind that. So he's going to beat Mr.Yo into Castle Age as well.
Yep. Also, another important point. Max is playing so clean. He's even bought tube docks, and he's now building fire ships. So he will eventually be able to clean up Yo's fish, and he's already actually attacking with one in the very left. So yeah, honestly, just like I said, super clinical from the Finnish team.
Yeah, they are very close to finishing off White Wolf Palace, if we may say so.
Indeed.
Yeah, and now, as we discussed, there is no wood income or no reliable wood income for Vivi, so yes, you have 4 ranges, but you can't really produce from them. So Vilas, who has only 3 ranges but consistent production, will overrun you with better numbers. And this is just going to snowball out of control here for White Wolf Palace.
Yep, and the problem is as well is that even if you're thinking long term, like humans are not a good civ to be on the back foot with because obviously they don't get Arblast or Bracer, and yeah, the GG is cool.
Wow. I'm impressed. This is a risky strategy from Suomi, by the way, because this pretty much lives and dies with you being able to access the hunt. If you take one bad fight at the beginning and you lose the hunt, it's pretty much gone. But if you can secure that hunt, it could be really powerful. I can see this strategy being stolen from Suomi for the semifinals by some team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you say that, but yes, it's risky, but is it though? Because you can always afford the blacksmith upgrade straight away, right? So like, it kind of is and isn't because you're always like we saw that game, right? I mean, Max had +1 defense and +1 attack before Yo had any upgrades. So unless like Veles has an absolute stinker on the flank, then you're always gonna have at least some protection from those early upgrades. So I just think, yeah, it's just a really nice strategy. I just think it synergized really well. And obviously these were quite late picks as well. So I just think that was some really nice preparation from Suomi.
Yeah, Suomi played this one really well. Obviously, they are known for their preparation, so it's not a massive surprise that we're seeing such a well executed play from them. And now White Wolf Plus is in trouble, especially if you consider that they have to go for a map that they haven't played so far in this tournament, Hidden Treasures.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm so interested to see what the civ picks are going to be. This is one of the maps where I'm not really as comfortable knowing the meta. I don't know if there is one necessarily. So I'm super excited to see how they approach this game.
Yeah, let's go straight away. So whenever you're ready, we can get going. Mongols is one of the prime picks for this map because you have the hunt in the corners. Unless you are Potato as a host and forget to change the map size to 4 players, because in that case, apparently there is no hunt in the corners.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm 3 seconds in whenever you're ready.
Right, let's do a countdown with 3, 2, 1, and go. So welcome to Hidden Treasures over here. This time around, they are playing 4-player map size, so you have these little hills on the corners with 3 boars each. We will have Suomi with Max Slavs in yellow, Britons for Vilas in red. Kind of a Black Forest civilization combo, if I may say so. And on the other side, Burgundians and Bohemians. Oh.
Yeah, so I would say this is what I was saying about the draft earlier, right? It feels like Max and Veles had a few more meta civs, so to speak. You know, you can't kind of just play archers and knights with these 2 civs, whereas obviously White Wolf Palace playing the kind of not meta. I'm really interested. How are they going to play this map? Do you think? With these civs.
Oh, it's hard to say. Like, we haven't really seen a lot from Bohemians other than chemistry crossbows and sort of a Hussite wagon fast impish play on Canberra. But this is not as closed as a map as Canberra is or Arena is. So I'm curious what they think about Bohemians here. The super bombard cannons will obviously be very, very helpful, and that could be dangerous against Britons. But I just don't see what else. Maybe Hussite wagon could work, honestly. Because
Yeah.
the thing is that what can Britons do against Hussite wagons?
Yeah, Britons have nothing against Hussite wagons, right? But I think Slavs do. I guess Slav have onagers, right? Siege onager, monks as well, cavalier. I think Slavs definitely have lots of options, whereas Britons don't. And it does seem like Slavs will be against Bohemians, so that'd be super interesting to see how that matchup goes. One thing I do want to say, it definitely seems like White Wall Palace have done more preparation, because if we look at how they're walling, they've walled the middle, and now they're walling the sides, whereas Suomi are not walling the middle. They're just kind of walling themselves, which I think is quite a big mistake. If we look at how White Wolf Palace have walled, this is kind of a lot easier, and it's a lot less resources to wall that way, rather than walling like both players in at the side.
Yeah, especially if you consider that Max didn't scout the hole to the left of his base, so technically he's wide open. And we had 3 scouts from Max chilling on the wood line of Villas. Not sure what to make out of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is all about.
Oh, they wanted to go out on the left side because they're pushing with archers. Villas is coming in with archers, but, well, it's full stone walls, so bad luck. Those units won't do much here.
Yeah, it's full stone walls, and this kind of enables Burgundians to just get all the eco upgrades. And obviously, Bohemians already have an amazing economy with free gold mining upgrades and stone mining upgrades. So yeah, I think White Wolf Palace have played this very well. I mean, Yo is okay. They're not walled yet because Yo has one villager just standing completely idle on a stone wall that is currently open. But I think they should be fully walled very soon.
Yeah, they are apparently all fine. On the right side, Mr.Yo is a spearman, and I'm fairly certain that he's intentionally luring those jaguars close to the walls of his opponent.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, let's see if he actually deletes that. Spearman. He might just be scouting with that spear, it's also possible. But, yeah. Here's a little gift there for Max.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Yo is building an archery range forward. 2 archery ranges forward, actually. So I guess he's looking to take control of that middle gold with some chemistry crossbows.
Yeah, there is going to be market walls here from Vivi to try and prevent those archers and scouts from breaking in. These stone walls are only feudal age stone walls, so it's easier to get through them than through castle age ones. But once Vivi is up to castle age, there should be no problems for them. He already has heavy plow and bow, so he was mining a bit of a stone, but not an awful lot, so probably just going to be additional TCs. And I can see sort of a fast, imp-ish Arbalest Bombard Cannon play work here. Because when you're sitting behind this many walls, I can see the Slavic player just trying to fully boom. So maybe crossbow into Bombard Cannon could be a nice idea here for Yo. He's going for a TC, also going for a monastery, whereas Vivi is mining a lot of stone for a castle.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see how this plays out. I don't really know. I think yeah. So I think Yo with these archers is just trying to take this map control in the middle and secure this gold because obviously there isn't that much gold. And we see a university quickly. Let's have a look at Yo's resources. Yeah, it feels like Yo isn't that close to going in, but I think Yo will just maybe try and put some pressure on with those archers and just secure that middle middle gold.
The fast team can work really nicely with Bohemians. You got the discount on your university as well. So there's a lot to love about this civilization when it comes to an early imp. As you said, he's not going to go super fast into imp, but it's very possible we'll see something like a 50, 55-ish villagers imp for him. Whereas for Vivi, he's gonna have a castle, so is this gonna be Custaliers from start?
Oh my god, that would be incredible. I don't know. We'll see. That castle is very strange though. It's just defending those walls on the left. I guess yes. So he is building Custodiers. I don't know about this honestly. I'm not too sure if this is going to be too successful. I mean, do they still one-shot the crossbows?
I
I
am
so,
not
right?
100% sure, but even if they don't, they do a huge amount of damage on them.
Yeah, but if you're doing say like 33 damage and you're left with a unit on 2 HP, like it's kind of a little bit inefficient, right? Because especially if they start using 2 charges on one crossbow, so you're using, 30 damage on one unit, for
Yeah,
example.
they don't one-shot them anymore.
Yep.
It's just a little too close. Nonetheless, this TC is going up for Vilas here just in time. And Yo looks like he wants to go for, oh, battering ram and chemistry crossbow push. Oh, those Jaguars backfire for him now.
Oh, good. Oh. Yeah, I mean, so what is Max's response? So Veles is actually sending crossbows to the other side to help, which is actually going to be super helpful because those crossbows will actually outrange Yo's crossbows, and despite Yo having chemistry and the extra damage, like he won't be able to do anything about crossbows behind walls, especially when they outrange him.
Yeah.
Um,
So these rams, as you said, the rams are a bit of a concern, but the crossbows can just pick off the blue crossbows here, and then probably mangonel defense from Max could work out nicely. Suomi already has a massive eco lead here, so I kind of feel like this push is just a little too slow for Yo.
yeah, I mean, I just think I don't know if this makes a whole lot of sense, honestly. He's going for the forward stonewalls. The reason I'm not certain about the way that White Wolf Palace have played this is because they opened extremely defensively, right, with those stonewalls, and then they've kind of merged into quite an aggressive push on both sides, right? So why not just take the map control and the feud ledge and kind of keep the pressure on from that point onwards rather than going for kind of an awkward aggressive play.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a little bit weird. What I really am concerned about here for White Wolf Plus is more about that. Oh, the mangonel pops out. Oh, that could have been huge.
oh, that's unfortunate.
It's very risky here for Vilas. He can't really use his range. But looks like here comes Max and he's going to take down that mangonel.
Yep, and I think Yo should get cleaned up completely on the side with Max building so many knights. And now it becomes a little bit more tricky. I mean, he's at risk of losing his TC on the right in the middle, and Vivi is preparing a ramp push. But Velas, if he has a couple more crossbows, I don't know. Do you think Velas will be able to hold that left-hand side TC?
I think Vilas will. Like, those Crystaliers right now don't have +2 defense, and that castle with the support of the TC should be enough to hold the Rams off. Yeah, I don't see those Crystaliers stopping the castle, and after this the villagers can just destroy the Rams.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about the Custelier play, to be honest. I really don't think, especially against Britons, when they're gonna build a lot of crossbows, right? I don't feel like they have the armor or really the damage output to deal with them, especially in a kind of tight choke point like this. I just think in general as well, like building a castle is so expensive, right? Like it's actually a lot of economy to invest to have villagers mine like 600 stone. So you're already on the back foot. So like the unit you build has to be really strong. Like, can you really argue that those Kuslier did more than Cavalier would have done? Like, I think it's
Probably
hard to argue
not.
that. Yeah.
And you could produce Cavalier much easier, so you can go double or even triple stables and just go for full Cavalier if you want to push that way. This kind of felt like he wanted the defensive castle just so that they don't break through, and now he's massing more Crystaliers, but behind this one, Suomi is a 20 villagers lead. Yo is getting close to imping here, but as you said, they're losing momentum. If that castle goes up, they could be fine for a little longer, but yeah, that castle should still go up.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. So if that castle goes up, they should be in a decent spot. Again, I think they just kind of played the game in a very strange way. Like that defensive castle to me, I thought they would boom behind that, and try and get some kind of like early imp timing rather than necessarily a castle age will then push with Custelia.
Uh-oh, Max. That castle
That
isn't
is,
going up,
yeah,
though. That was
that
a
is a
little
dark
too
castle,
ambitious. Luckily, he bails out on it just in time, so he's able to save his resources, but now he's going to lose a couple of villagers on that other castle. That
On the
should
left-hand
go up.
side, there is a huge push
Oh,
from
yeah.
Vivi.
This is something that Taro did against, I don't remember who, but Taro played full castle age, just like this ramp push into castle drop. And now that the castle is up, the villagers can destroy the rams. This is copy-paste Taro play here.
Yeah, this is I mean, if this castle goes down, then this game could swing back in favor of White Wolf Palace. If they retain the map control, Villa's actually building another castle right behind that one.
Yeah, he has to,
It's a bit
but that
of an
castle
angle.
isn't that much better, to be honest. It's still within the range of Vivi's castle, so Vivi can destroy it with rams without the villagers being able to take it down. Imperial Age on the way for Yo as the first player. Both Suomi players will follow, as the last to imp will most likely be Vivi here. Mangonel is out, and it looks like,
Yeah, not Mangonel.
for now, Vivi is going to stay back. Taro did this against MBL, yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, okay, so the game has kind of stabilized a little bit, but it definitely still feels like Suomi have the advantage. But the one thing going for White Wolf Palace is they actually have they're contesting both golds, and Yo has complete control of the gold on the right. So whereas Veles can only kind of mine on this gold on the left, Yo can just freely mine with obviously both gold mining upgrades for free. So that is one benefit. So and obviously this push as well is really,
Yeah, it's really
like,
good.
Veles is struggling, isn't it? Yeah.
Viles is having a hard time holding this. He's losing a lot of villagers doing so, and if he loses that castle, it doesn't really matter that he is an imp, because he won't have any siege going for him. And in general, he doesn't have a huge amount of army, so not sure how much that imp could do to him.
Yeah, I think honestly, White Wolf Palace are swinging the game. They played really well. I just think, you know, maybe Veles and Max got a bit greedy. Like, if Veles just committed more to Castle Age and securing this this middle, then I think they would have been okay. But now with no gold, right? I mean, he's building a lot of barracks, right? So he's gonna switch into pikemen. But is that gonna be enough? Like with no gold, like how are you gonna push back against the castles? You know?
You won't. As look at that castle on the other side from Yo. I don't
Oh,
think that he
wow.
knows about the yellow castle up to him. Yeah, he just realized there's another castle. One thing I've criticized here is that it doesn't have a siege workshop right now that could produce bombard cannon, and he already has chemistry from Castle Age, so he could go immediately on bombard cannon.
Yeah, that would have been a nice play if he had that lined up. Because obviously those bombard cannons, especially if you upgrade them, become really, really strong. Yeah, the question is, what is... the problem is, I think Vivi's follow-up could have been a bit better economically. Yeah, like if you look at his economy, he's nowhere near getting to Imperial Age, and I don't know. The question still is though, like how on earth do you push that back if you are Suomi?
Yeah, Halberdiers are slowly being tagged into by Viles, but missing a lot of upgrades over here. And it doesn't help that you don't have a lot of gold, because you only start with like 6 tiles of gold here, just like Gold Rush. So getting those blacksmith upgrades could be problematic if you already run out of gold here.
Yeah, precisely. I wonder how Suomi are gonna react to not having any gold. It feels honestly, it kind of feels like they didn't really have that much practice on this map, because on kind of both sides they let go of the gold a little bit too easily, and it feels like, especially if Tado and you know, obviously White Wolf Palace now are having the strategy of going all in for the gold. If we look at the position right now, like it just kind of seems like, despite them actually getting an economic lead, just not having any gold, obviously there's not much you can do, right? It just makes it so much more difficult.
Max trying to hold that castle, even getting hoardings, but he's going to lose that castle. Best thing that he can hope for is that he trades castles here with Yo. And speaking of Yo, he's denying one of the gold mines for Max here. So, as we discussed, you start with little gold, and one of those gold deposits here is lost for Max. He doesn't have any gold income, which means making traps is a problem. They will start setting up trade, but you need gold for trade as well.
Yeah, you do, and this is starting to look really, really good for White Wolf Palace. I mean, yeah, Suomi are building trade now, but I mean, all Max can really build is light cap to defend, and that's not going to be enough against full arb, right? Like that's just not going to cut it.
And Hussite Reforms was in for Mr.Yo, which means that now he has the Trash Monks, so to say, and he's stacking into Pikemen, Bohemian Pikemen also doing a lot more damage. This is looking really good here for White Wolf Palace, and yeah, Vivi is not in Imp, but with Burgundians, that's not the end of the world, because you can still get crop rotation and two-man saw already.
Yeah, honestly, I think we have to just give White Palace the credit. Honestly, I think they just, I think they understood. I was a little bit skeptical of how they approached the game, but I think they understood what was really important about the map much better than Suomi did, which was obviously making sure that you have complete control over this middle and just basically playing the entire game around the
And
middle
then
gold. Yeah.
now we're looking at Cavaliers, they start to become scary because, yes, Cavaliers early on are better, but the Cavalier charge means that they're not so vulnerable against Halberdiers because they can just decimate the Halberdier numbers very easily, and Suomi just ends up calling the game here, probably A, seeing the Cavalier numbers for VV, B, just realizing that there is no chance that Max can hold off these Arbalests, Trebs, and soon Pikemen from
Yeah.
Mr.Yo.
And yeah, well played from White Palace. I think that was a very even game, and I think I don't know about you, but I feel like uh, White Palace preparation I think paid off better here. I think I just had a better understanding of what kind of you needed to do to win this map. I don't know what you
Yeah,
think.
I can see that. I can see that. One of the things that we didn't see for Bohemians here, and that would have also been a very nice thing, is that their markets work faster. So even if White Wolf Palace needed to establish trade, it would have been much easier for them. This is something that also makes Bohemians a good Civ pick for this map, because suddenly you lose all the gold, but you can still get your trade up really fast to try and buy yourself time. It's not like you have to spend a huge amount of time here. Probably Spanish Bohemians would be a very interesting combination on this map.
Yeah, that would be an amazing combo. Or even something like Bohemians, Italians, just to get the cheap trade producing really quickly as well would be a fun little combo. Um, but yeah, no, that was yeah, really well played from White Palace.
So, they don't go down that easily, and it was a 2-0 scoreline against the rulers of Rome as well for White Wolf Palace. And then they ended up reverse sweeping it. Now we're going to the home maps of Suomi, Kavasano Riverbelt. White Wolf Palace loves Riverbelt, so that could be a little bit dangerous for Suomi to go there.
Yeah, I think it should be a really interesting game, right?
Yeah, on the other hand, Kawasan felt a little off for White Wolf Palace when they played them. So I feel like if you're Suomi, you'll probably prefer picking Kawasan here.
Yep. Or maybe you want to play the weakest map first and get it over with. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's really a matter of decision. Do you want to play your stronger map and just close the series, but potentially, if you lose this game, risk having your weaker map as the last one, as a decider game? Or you want to go for a weaker map first in case you lose it, and then you have your stronger map as a decider game? We'll see what they do, and it looks like they're going to River Belt. I'm ready when you are.
Yep, I'm ready. Just count me down.
So let's go with game number 4 over here. 3, 2, 1, and go. Welcome to River Belt. We are gonna have Viles and Max on the right side as Indians, a civilization that we haven't really seen a lot on this map, and the Vietnamese. Other side, it's going to be Yo as Persians in blue and Portuguese for Vivi in green. I kind of feel like there are a lot of good civilizations for this map when it comes to cavalry, with Khmer, for example, or Bulgarians, but those were already used up. Indians is a sneaky pick here, though, because that extra pierce armor could mean a lot for these scouts.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I think Indians is a solid pick, but there's also you have to think there's less space on this map, right? So I think it's gonna be kind of difficult to deal with the crossbow mass as an Indian player, just because there is less space because of the water on the outside. Um, but that being said, I think I prefer Suomi civs a little bit, but I think it's very close. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I probably prefer Suomi civs, because Vietnamese in the long run is going to be better than Portuguese. On the other hand, I actually like Persians more than Indians, because Indians won't have knights available, and I just kind of feel like the only way that you can actually use Indians with full camos is that if your archer player is beating the opponent's archer player heavily, so that you're not encountering a lot of crossbows.
Yeah, I guess that is the one thing you do have to say is that definitely is possible with Vietnamese because they are that having that extra health is really strong, and it's kind of a I don't want to say it's an underrated advantage, but definitely like especially when you're having those big trades where you just kind of patrol, like it does make a big difference. So it is possible, but that being said, Portuguese also can get a lot of units out just because they are cheaper. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a trade-off.
Yo is going for a dock here on the left side. That's going to give a very nice boost to his economy, as he was pushed off from gold temporarily, but since he's playing scouts, not the end of the world, he's also milling his hunt. So Yo is playing a very eco-heavy game here.
Yep, honestly, this is a really nice approach from Yo. Just getting, I mean, if we look at the villager count already for Yo, he's already 4 ahead of his opponents. So that's already paying off. It's just whether or not that can translate into a quicker castle time and some good, um, yeah, some good trades. But this is a nice trade at the front of Yo's base, actually, dealing with some of Bless's archers.
Yeah, that was a
Bless is doing
beautiful
pretty
fight.
well now. Yeah.
Vivi came in, picked off the spearman, and now all the archers are going down. And once we get to Castle Age, Persians will become even stronger because they have the extra attack on their knights against archers.
Yeah, precisely. And yeah, it's kind of looking a little bit dangerous right now. I mean, if we're getting Yo into a position where he has really good economy, like especially as Persians, then it does become quite dangerous, right? The one thing that so when we do have going for them though is Vivi's map is just appalling and it's so hard to wall. That I think he's taken quite a bit of damage already. We look at the vill counts. Yeah, Vivi is 4 villagers behind. So obviously Max has been doing some really good work, picking up villagers or causing idle time or whatever's been going on.
Yeah, he has killed 2 villagers so far. So that's the main reason behind this one. But as you said, it's really hard to wall V's base. But once he finishes these walls, this is gonna be great actually for them. They could have team walls with Mr.Yo, as Yo tried to get a defensive tower up on his gold, but that's going to fail.
Well, but why does he need the defensive tower? He's got a back gold. Like why? Like all he needs to do is just rebuild the mining camp, right? I think committing to a tower there was actually quite a big mistake. I don't know if he actually sees his other gold. I mean, he does. Yeah. So Yo has perfect vision of his gold on the left. I'm not sure.
And Max is coming in here with those scouts. He does have forging on the way, and he could easily pick off a couple of wheels here from Yo.
It's kind of White Palace are kind of falling apart a little bit. I think that's largely down to Vivi taking so much damage. I mean, his archer numbers are really low, and Valesa's doing a great job picking them off. I think now it's reached a really dangerous level for White Palace because I think Suomi have managed to kind of snowball the archer numbers. And when that happens, like there's not really that much you can do really, especially as Yo as a cab player. You just kind of have to hold and hope for the best.
And behind this one, Castle Age is on the way for Vivi, but doesn't have a lot of archers. And Bloodlines is in exchange for Max, so he's got fully upgraded Feudal Age scouts here, whereas for Yo doesn't have a single upgrade on his scouts right now.
Yeah, honestly, I think White Palace made a mistake with how they walled. So you see on the left of Vivi's base, I think they should have walled to the edge and then team walled together, rather than walling. That crazy wall on the left side of Vivi's base is just so inefficient. And maybe that cost him a couple villagers. It's really hard to say.
So Castle Age on the way for Vivi though. Viles is following, but this is maybe the power spike that Vivi is waiting for. Overall, the villager counts are still pretty close. We have both cavalry players going for some fishing economy. And WWP won't give up easily on this map, that's for sure. They did that against ROR. And one of the things that White Wolf Plus does very frequently is just move out to the outside very early on. And just make sure that you have a completely untouchable gold income sort of. And then sort of, even if they start losing the middle, they will just recover from the outside. Because you have some space here for, say, farming eco. You don't have wood income there, but everything else, gold, food, is perfectly fine if you just have that on the outside.
Yeah, interestingly enough though, Max is actually committing really heavily to the water play on the right side. He's got about 3 or 4 fire ships and 3 docks. So that's going to be a real problem for Yo, who is relying quite heavily on that fishing economy. and he'll have no response really. And if you
Oh,
lose the water as well,
look at those
um,
scouts moving into the back of Yo's base. Now Vivi wants to team wall, but there's... First of all, these walls are not finished. Second, there is still a tile gap, and at least Yo is going to see that because he lost the spearman, but that's going to be a nightmare to clean up. There is 5 scouts with full upgrades coming into Yo's base.
yeah, and I'm not sure where Yo scouts are on the other side of the map. Honestly, this could be game ending. With the way the game's already developing, like this is really tricky for Yo to deal with, especially they have full upgrades. Um,
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of that villagers. Now Yo is coming in on the other side, so if he finds a way in, and there might be berries overpicked, so the scouts might find a way in to retaliate, but Yo is losing the water, and as you said, the crossbow numbers, they're actually even. Ballistics coming in for both players over here.
I'm really impressed that Vivi has managed to catch up in crossbow number because Veles is actually on 4 ranges, which is pretty crazy as Vietnamese, but obviously they have some nice bonuses that made the eco upgrades don't cost wood, so I guess you can afford that. But
Oh,
yeah,
and
these
Yo is in.
yeah.
Yo is in on the right side inside Vilas's base, and that's going to be a pain to clean up as well. Nice quick walls on the other hand. As on the north, though, Vivi losing all his crossbows. That's where those
Yep.
Indian scouts come in clutch. They don't have the bonus from Castle Age just yet, but those leftover scouts are still very helpful. Just being an arrow sponge, and suddenly it's triple the archer numbers for Vilas.
Yeah, and I think that could be all she wrote for this game. I mean, it's just so tricky when you lose that mass, right, to actually come back. And with 26 crossbows knocking on the door, I mean, Vivi's map is not good enough to hold. Um, Honestly, I just think this kind of all comes down to Vivi's feudal age, honestly. Like, it just kind of felt like he got quite far behind from the get-go. And obviously his map was a little bit tricky to wall, which definitely doesn't help. But I think if he managed to wall off that left-hand side and then team wall, like, you kind of save yourself so much hassle.
Max is
Um,
actually dropping docks on the left side as well, so he just wants to cut off White Wolf Palace from that outside island, sinking the fishing ships, the transports. It's going to be impossible for you to get out there. And behind this one, Vivi lost a couple of villagers on his wood line. Currently, White Wolf Palace has killed 2 villagers combined and lost 19.
yeah. Honestly, I just think this series has been a really nice demonstration from Suomi of how good they are at just keeping their armies together and just keeping on the front foot. You know, it just always feels like in most of these games, even in the game that the White Wolf Palace won, like they were still, synergizing really well with their armies and still like working together to take map control. And it just feels like in most of the games, they've always been on the front foot. And like when you're always on the front foot, like you end up just you end up getting villager picks, right? You end up putting your opponents on the back foot. And in this case, I think they've just done so much damage to Vivi that it's kind of helped them snowball a huge advantage.
Yeah, and we discussed that the camos work nicely when your archer player is able to beat the opponent's archer player. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Yo is able to get to the outside here in a transport ship just before losing that, so he's gonna have a foothold there, but I'm not sure how long they can hold this. And the Indian camos can destroy buildings pretty fast as well, so the game can snowball out of control really fast.
Yep. One thing as well that Indians do have going for them is that their eco bonus, like with their cheaper villages, like will kick in sooner than Persians is faster producing villagers, right? It's like they'll have more food to play with a little bit earlier, whereas obviously Persians you have to sink the food in first to get the advantage. I think that's also kind of playing out in this game as well, right? Like, it's just kind of a little bit easier for Max to just get a nice economy to just flood camels, whereas it's a little bit harder for Yo to reach the same kind of critical level to be able to produce consistently.
Especially because Max has a reliable fishing income. Now it's a 20 villagers lead here for Suomi. And Yo is off from his gold on the right side. He does have a backup gold man at the back, but as you said, this is just slowly snowballing out of control.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just again, it's just Veles, just too many crossbows, right? He's got 37 against 20 or 40 against 20. And that's a huge difference, right? And Yo just doesn't have the numbers right now to be able to do anything against this. And even if he did, Max would be right there with camels anyway, so it's tricky.
Yeah, it's
Um,
very rough over here. Those Indians are really coming in handy, and there's still some light cav out here that now are perfect for arrow sponges. 5 pierce armor on them. Suomi is already going to the outside as well for some extra economy. Vivi will probably never get to the outside at this rate, which is a problem for him, obviously, because he needs to have gold income consistently for the archer production.
yeah, interestingly enough, Yo went to Vivi's island on the left rather than his own. I guess that's because of the um, yeah, and interestingly enough, Bless as well is going to uh, Yo's pond, or gold area. There's a huge fight, by the way, in Yo's base. I think is that gonna be clean up for White Wolf Palace?
Um, Even if it is, it's a barely a cleanup, but
Yeah.
probably it isn't. It was a beautiful camo micro from Max over there, just killing those knights, and that was the key there. Those knights were
Yep.
never able to touch the crossbows, and Suomi soars past White Wolf Palace over here. Suomi was a second place in their group, where WWP actually won their group, but it looks like the Finns came out stronger into this one, and they close out the set.
Yeah, really impressive. Honestly, just great team coordination, especially this game. Really nice job from Max to pressure the water and deal with Yo's fish economy. That I think that was a really nice play. And yeah, and credit to Velas as well, who just honestly like he just kind of crushed Vivi on the other side. I don't think that's necessarily completely Vivi's fault. I think he just really struggled with a bad map and also like being put under a lot of pressure early. Um, so yeah, honestly, really well played from Swimmy.
Yeah, they are. They did this crazy well. They had a very convincing game on Arabia. Then they went to Cape of Storms, even more convincing. That's what really hurts for White Wolf Palace. They're losing Cape of Storms. That was their home map. They picked, as you said, drafted a lot of very strong civilizations for that map. So they really counted on that win, and that didn't deliver. So
Yeah, yeah. I think we just have to credit Suomi's preparation for that. Like you said, that win was really important. Um, like yeah, drafting, like losing with like your third and fifth pick, is really rough. It's clear that they were really confident on that map, and they just got completely steamrolled on it. I think we like I said during the time, like just credit to Suomi. That's just some great preparation, some great execution of a really good strategy, and yeah, it helps them take the 3-1 win.